Alright, now let's get started on the hair, which it will be a nice bright orange, not too orange, but kind of like a reddish orange. So let's take some orange tones here. So here let me just collect all these here first. So here I have some nice oranges, and I'm going to take a brown. Okay, so here are the colors that I have. So my first one is cream. This will be for highlights. Second I have is sunburst yellow, which will be our main colors. Same along with yellow orange will be a nice main color as well. This will be a lighter color, lemon yellow, as a kind of like little accent. And then for our brightest, or not brightest, but our for our kind of like more vibrant tones of orange is a pale vermilion. So this is kind of like a reddish orange here, kind of like a pretty warm red. And then here we have our burnt ochre once again, which will serve as the shadow. So let's get started on that. Let's first draw in our highlights first. So I'm going to make these round highlights, and all I'm really going to do is I'm just going to be drawing little circles like so, using my cream color. And I'm going to vary these in different sizes, just because you don't want them all to be the same size, because it doesn't look that good. Same here, and here, and a little bit here as well. So this will just be our markings of where we are going to color. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lemon yellow, and I'm going to be coloring very lightly on top, just to serve as another base color. So I'm going to be blending this later with my oranges. So I'm just going to put this as a top layer for now. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill these highlights in. So toned paper works really well when it comes to popping out colors, and overall it's a nice medium to have if you want to test your colors and test nice vibrant color pencils. So Prismacolor works great for this, and that's why I wanted to add this kind of these lectures to it as well, because they're a good option to have if you don't want to just use sketchbook paper. So I'm just applying light pressure all over, except for the highlights. I'm just skipping the highlights. I'm not coloring in the highlights using this yellow. I'm just coloring in very lightly with the same amount of pressure to serve as a base. And the base will help us pop the color out more. So once we're done with that, let's take our main orange now. So this is a sunburst yellow. It's yellow, but it's orangish yellow. So let's go ahead and color that on top pretty opaquely. So you want to press a little bit harder this time, and then fill everything in as usual, as you would normal. So it's almost kind of like a little coloring book. You're making your own little coloring book. I'm applying the same amount of pressure. I'm not pressing hard and I'm not pressing too soft. I'm giving a nice medium press just so I can see the color. So as you can see, the camera shows the color very well, which is great. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm really glad I got this camera. I used to record on my phone, and then I realized that just took way too long, so I got a camera. And I'm like, wow, this works so much better. And it holds a lot more video coverage as well. It holds a lot more. It just takes... Before, I would only have to limit myself to 15 minutes with on my phone. However, with the camera, I can go a little bit further than that, so which is nice. So once again, just color all over. And that is your base color. Then what we're going to do is we are going to take our yellow orange, and then we're going to just color in the tips, or kind of like the top parts of the hair, just to kind of give a little ombre or give a little gradient. So we're just going to put it around the tops and then towards the bottom as well. And that'll give a nice blend of color. So the reason why I do this is just because it looks interesting. It looks really nice this way, to do to kind of like mix colors this way. So I highly recommend doing it around the tips and around the tops of the hair. So the top will be more orange, and then it gradually goes into a yellow, and then towards the end it goes orange again. And that generally gives a very, very nice kind of appeal. Kind of very like very sunny look. So far so good. Then we are going to take, let's see, what else do we have? Oh, we're going to take our pale vermilion, and then now we're going to kind of start emphasizing little bits of hair strands here and there. So let's go ahead and add some hair strands to the hair just by coloring in very, very lightly, you know, like the sides of the hair, for example, or any turning points. Because you don't want to just be flat. You want to also show a little bit of form into your hair. So around the bottom of the hair, you know, where it kind of starts turning, you want to add that in there so it kind of looks nice. If you have hair overlapping, you know, draw the shadow in as well. You can even apply different amounts of pressure to just to kind of gauge how much you want to blend, really. So if I want to have like a really big pop of color, I press really hard. But if I want to just have it like a bit of blend, a bit of a blend between orange and red, I color lightly and I go in a circular motion. Same thing here. Towards the back, I want to make it a little bit more red because it's kind of in shadow. It's a little bit saturated there, so we can see a little bit of color difference. And then I'm adding color to show form as well. So I use the color to show extra strands here. So here, if I want to add a side to that, I can just color this one side and it'll look like a different form. So far this is looking great. I'm really liking how this is looking. So now for the grand finale, we have our creme brulee. That's not ochre, but not creme brulee. It's burnt ochre. I keep forgetting. And this is just for our really, really dark shadows, like, you know, areas where there's like the back of the hair, for example, or areas of just narrow bits of hair here would have some more shadow. These are just more like tight spaces, so it can give a little bit more pop in the color of the hair, especially in the inner parts where it's kind of hidden from the light. And that is pretty much it for the hair. If you want to keep adding a little bit more strands, do so. But so far, I'm pretty much done. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.